Yep, Magic Gust Pool, Doc just gonna play a regular, and yeah, 6 Lings will come out from Reynor to try and do something, and like, I didn't hate the pool first last time. Obviously, the bigger issue was just the, the Roach attack that then got defended, and Doc was super prepared for it. It did feel as though, like, that was part of Doc just having a good read on, like, everything that's happening in this series almost, right? So, kind of with you, it does get a little scary almost for Reynor, because it does feel as though Doc is the one that is mentally ahead almost in these games, and just kind of on the builds to pick and all that kind of stuff, so, yeah. Something to keep in mind is our Lings show up, and there's no Lings ready from Doc, so Reynor did a great job of avoiding Overlords here, meaning that he can actually get in and deal some damage.
This is already better, right? You already killed a drone.
Yeah.
That's actually a huge mistake, really, at this level. So, Dark, not quite as prepared, is even making more Lings than are what's strictly necessary. So that's another benefit that Reynor gets here. You want to match Lings, basically, because then you have Defender's Advantage with the Queen, and Dark has made more. So, and then Dark, again, actually, just like last game, losing the Overlord that, chose to go a little deep to see what was following this up. Were you building drones? Are there more Lings stacked up in that main base? What's happening? And this is just a surprisingly good opener for Reynor, who's going to run with it. Now, Dark is probably getting more and more suspicious about this lack of third hatchery from Reynor, especially as he slaps down his own. But is he going to have the preparation against Lings and Banelings? Actually, Dark using his Ling advantage to try and get a wrap around the Queen doesn't quite work. And he's leaving before he sees Reynor's additional Lings. Or is he, though? Or is he?
Well, or is he? He turns it back around. Yeah, the thing is, Ling speed kicks in for Reynor here, so maybe he can chase a little bit and maybe catch a Ling or two. I think Doc's about to have Ling speed as well. Doc's just going to turn fine. I like that, because he knows there's only so much running he can do. So he may as well get some extra damage done. First Bane's already morphed in on the other side of the map, and now Doc making Lings defensively here. As Reynor going to bring this Ling Bane forward, and look at how serious Doc is taking this. There's a full wall off right now, but that means you ain't defending that third base, which means that Reynor's going to get the third base advantage after his own third was initially that much later. Ooh, Doc gonna slip some Lings across the map. That could be his way to get the cancel on Reynor's base and to maybe bring this back to being even on the base count.
Ooh, that is such a strong decision right there from Dark. Oh my gosh, and he actually gets the wall back up. Dark, I mean, he's trying to make the best of a bad scenario, and I gotta applaud him. That was a dangerous thing to do for multiple reasons, and it might still not work out, but yeah, it doesn't work out. Dark is having to play a very tight game here, knowing that he's behind. He has caught up on drones. He will have the tech advantage, but Reynor is building nothing but units. That +1 Carp is going to affect both Lings and Roaches, and he is looking for victory.
The Overlord speed is just like such an investment that could have been so much else. Now you've got a lair finishing that's going to do nothing for Dark as well. These are all things that are extremely expensive and which now you don't get any benefit from. So this attack coming down to the bottom side of the map here from Reynor, looking to launch itself into this position. I mean, Doc doesn't even have spine crawlers ready. They're coming in being what? About halfway done now. So Reynor's going to take the fight with the spines not even finished. And, well, let's see what his Banes can do. The Baneling dodges have been pretty good from Doc, and I definitely feel like he got the better end of the Baneling trade so far. But now the Banes are gone, and Reynor will continue to move on through. Can these spines make the difference, Zombie Grub?
I think they might. 2 Spine Crawlers are actually going to finish. 3 Queens still working here, gaining some transfuses as well. Could be absolutely huge. It's not quite going to decide the game right here, right now, but Dark is the one that repels Reynor's attack with a lair, and he immediately goes back into droning as well. So Dark, the lair advantage is pretty big, right? He can now choose where to go. He could add on a Spire now that his Overlord speed really, I think, is a lot more beneficial here in the follow-up scouting. It's going to see that there's a lair on the way. It's going to see that the Roaches are fully pulled back, and Dark is going to add on a technology that Reynor just won't be able to match. So Reynor's going to have this huge army supply lead, but the mutas are already out. Going in for a follow-up attack, building nothing but Roaches, is just hurting Reynor right now, because he's going to start the attack when the mutas are already out. That's pretty much the worst time to do so. We'll see if he can actually make some magic happen. Baneling drops in his main base. Good last-second split, but yeah, what about the defense? What about Reynor's attack? Can it actually work? He's hitting before Roach speed is done, but Dark's mutas, Actually, where the heck are they? I guess they're killing overlords. Now finally jump on top of the roaches, adding in little bits of extra damage, but Dark, can he fill with enough roaches on the defense? He can't let these roaches into his base. This is pretty much what it comes down to.
Yep, you basically need to get these roaches of Reynor whittled down before they start dealing too much damage, as Reynor just split up a little bit here. Going to be having him now running at the front, and I mean, he is going to get through into the natural toward the main base. I mean, Doc did the right thing. He made some meters, and then he just went straight back into roach production, so he's somewhat able to match, Reynor's roach count. Reynor, I mean, fighting for a while here. The meters obviously adding in free damage from overhead, but he's trading well enough against the Roach Ravager with the fact he's got roaches in the main. They're splitting up a little bit because they're chasing down drones, starting to deal some damage here, but there is more that needs to be done, especially considering that these meters are very likely to deal damage when they get the chance to go across the map.
Yeah, exactly. Like, once Reynor is, concedes defeat on this side of the map at the very least, he is going to have to now deal with a person with mutas, but he's not ready. He's actually gotten into the nook and crannies of every base, so while the drone count isn't unacceptable, only 9 drones have gone down. This is a lot of chaos. This is a lot of time built. Dark only just now using his spine crawlers, as most of his roaches are either dead or away from the party. Could have maybe had a slightly better defense if the mutas had gotten there a bit faster, if the spine crawlers were repositioned, but Reynor might have just done enough damage. Now this is a mistake. All of his overlords actually got rallied in with his army, so he's ready to, of course, lose some that were already out in the map, maybe 3 or 4, and now he's going to lose perhaps 7 or 8. But then he actually does find the 4th base. A couple extra drones can be a huge deal right now, as Dark finally falls behind on the drone count. It didn't actually happen until just now.
Reynor starts up a bunch of spores, which are obviously necessary, right? I mean, Tunneling Claw's burrow, he knows he needs to be the one making some plays because there is a 4th base. He is down the +2 missiles, and he's got mutas to deal with as well, and he ain't just building any tech against that, which I don't mind that necessarily because, let's be fair, it's not a ton of mutalists, so you can deal with this with queens. If Doc keeps on building roaches, Reynor doesn't need to go into hydras, he doesn't need to go into infestors or anything. Queens are fine against this set of mutas. Yes, it's a little bit annoying as Reynor misses a transfusion, which I feel like usually he would hit. That's a shame just because there was a momentary supply block, although he already had more overlords on the way up. But as you lose more overlords, yeah, then it does become a bigger issue, and this supply block actually might build into something a little bit larger because maybe Doc can outnumber him now.
Less economy for him. Their technology is looking awfully similar. +2 carapace is going to be faster for Dark, but I think at this point, we kind of get to that point with lurkers in a ZVZ where it's like, you got enough tanks, you got enough lurkers, do the upgrades. Are they the most important thing, or is it the fact that the lurkers are already here? Now, those are some very aggressive lurkers. Dark, being over-aggressive, loses his lurkers, not just with the blinding cloud that Reynor had, but simply put, he ran into a surround. That was awkward.
Yeah, he didn't realize the roaches in the bottom right were burrowed, so he ran over them, and then Reynor was like, oh, full surround? My Vipers on top of your lurkers, which aren't with the rest of your army? So Reynor takes a massive fight. Look at the supply lead coming out of this. Reynor, hitting a couple of corrosive bars there as well. Let's see what he can do, as he's just finished morphing lurkers of his own, so now he's going to get aggressive. Yeah, this is a really good opportunity for Reynor to get something done. He did get his 5th base killed off on that right-hand side, so he would love to get a base of his opponent here. Let's see what he can do. The big thing is Doc already has a lot of lurkers in position. Reynor going to fight here anyway. His Vipers are just lagging behind, right? With the Vipers here, he might be able to push into this position. Right now, that's not the case. He is going to start abducting lurkers. First one doesn't actually go down. Second one or third one doesn't go down either. And that was a bunch of failed abducts.
Yeah, which is kind of important for Dark because he has no Vipers. He was going for an attack with just sheer numbers. That didn't work out, and then he had to replace those numbers as fast as possible. So all of his gas went into more lurkers, not into Viper technology, which is definitely an important part about this late game. Now, the number of lurkers, the way they're positioned, seem to hold on for now. But that was a bit of a scary time for Dark after being a bit scary for Reynor. And now I think we can kind of calm down a little bit.
Over in time to save the base? Well, yeah, maybe not.
Yeah, maybe not. I think that might have to be it. Well, if Reynor was to target fire, I think that would have been a kill. But
it would have gone down if he went for it.
Yeah, gonna come back later, I suppose. More priority on the main engagements, both of them now with Vipers and Lurkers. Reynor with still more Vipers, however, more abducts, more good. Dark with more Lurkers. We'll see what happens with the actual Viper battle. Parasitic Bomb on top of very clumped Vipers. One abduct there from Reynor, not doing a whole ton. And a little bit of a Yeah, where exactly do I want to push? That right side looking a lot more vulnerable. There you go, Abducts, Blinding Clouds on top of the Spore Crawlers. Reynor's going to be taking down that base, but it's something that Dark can let go if he doesn't lose a whole lot of units in the defense. And certainly he is not. He's actually using a lot of units to go for a counter.
So I thought there was a lot of units right away, but the Overseers were the clump of blue I saw on the minimap initially. There is just Road Ravage behind that. That's going to catch up. So denial of base is continuing. Doc still having a base in hand though on that left-hand side. As we're going to see a little bit of a fight here. Lucas burrow up, unburrows, and repositions away from Val. So Reynor quick to respond to that. The bottom right fight was really well done by Reynor because he really did a good job of just making sure that the spores were kind of blinding clouds so you could get in with the Vipers to get the Abducts off without losing too much. Now that Nidus in the main might be a cool way for Doc to switch this game up a bit, redirect the aggression and go for something completely different. Just a couple lurkers, not that crazy. Something that actually Reynor probably will be able to cope with here.
It is pretty dangerous to actually, try and capture the main base, bring your entire army, because Blinding Clouds are so effective in a weird way. That choke that is usually so abusive when you gain control of your opponent's main can sometimes become your own weakness. Sometimes, so the more acceptable, more safe option is just to go for some harassment, which is Dark's plan. Nidus from the main is cleaned up fairly quickly. Nidus from here should be cleaned up. There we go. It just means that Reynor has to be even more on point about backstabs and run-bys. But it is something I'm sure he's capable of doing. He's going to go for a little more of a blunt approach, kind of attacking with, yes, 2 armies, but no Nidus shenanigans from our Italian Zerg.
I don't know what's been up with Doc, but he's had the worker lead all this time, right? Or for a lot of this time, these Vipers, yeah, be careful. He's had the worker lead for a lot, but he's not been in as much of an income lead as I thought he would be, and Reynor even having an income lead of his own, so maybe the bottom right base dying really affected Doc, considering the other bases all kind of just stayed alive, whatever, but we go back and forth here. Parasite bombs. He's going to get a second Abduct off on another Viper, but the Hydra count just isn't good enough to kill Vipers off like that. Not very quickly, at least, so bit of back and forth right there. I mean, a lot of these fights are going to be standoffs and spellcaster kind of duels, so that's where we stand. Obviously, the defender has the advantage because Doc doesn't have to worry about abducting through Spore Crawlers, whereas that's something which will slow down Reynor's Viper casts.
Exactly. The Hydras, as you pointed out, not high enough in number, but also just a little less reliable in general. Spore Crawlers from a buff years and years and years ago versus Mutas primarily, now affecting late-game Lurker Viper battles even more. But yeah, your point about the economy, I absolutely agree. I kept mentioning it. Dark has had a 10-worker lead very reliably, even sometimes a 15-worker lead, but the actual number of hatcheries that had mining capabilities, I guess, was a little lower. So despite, yes, officially having more income, the trades, they're going a little bit better for Reynor. I think the most previous one, not as much, but just a little bit. And as such, they both have very even banks. It is Reynor, though, with a much bigger gas bank, so even mineral banks, to be very specific. The gas bank, still one of the most important things here. Maybe a little less important than how the actual engagements will go, which so far, Dark, very defensive. He is the one waiting for Reynor to just try and headbutt him to death, and Reynor's not quite taking the bait. He's poking, but he's not trying to break these really solid siege lines.
I love that Reynor just has that top bottom right base denied by a single burrowed roach. Gonna pop up, kill the drone, and then even leave some other roaches there to maybe strike. He's gonna focus his main attack around the left now. Just has a straight up army supply lead because he has less workers and because Dog isn't quite maxed out. That's a massive abducts though, and Reynor's Vipers all going to spores. That is the weakness of being the aggressor in these situations.
That was so funny. What do you even do? What do you even do?
Yeah.
I mean, Reynor, I talked about that gas bank. Now he's got to use it. Good thing he has it to replace, 8 Vipers. 7 are on the way. It's a very good thing he has that gas bank. I don't think, it is, as far as who would be the aggressor, I think they both have the ability to be aggressive. I never call Reynor a turtler, but I also wouldn't generally think of Dark as a guy who's going to turtle. Both capable of both, but yeah, Dark very much just drawing that line in the sand and just, kind of tempting Reynor into it. and at a certain point, just Reynor just go, oh, okay, I want to do the same thing. That's kind of what I'm waiting for, is Reynor to be like, this sucks. I'm not gonna attack into you. You attack into me. But I don't know if Reynor is chill enough to do that. You know, he's probably pumping along to his music right now, looking for opportunities, and they're simply not there. Everywhere I look, it's spore crawlers and lurkers, and then more lurkers in case that wasn't enough. 26 lurkers, 5 more on the way. Like, how do you break that?
I think you don't break it, right? You just have to play the long game, and I'd kind of love to see Reynor. I know he's only on 45 drones, but maybe start to establish a base. Like, even this bottom right location, you know, that's Dark's base in essence, but if Dark's focused elsewhere, maybe you can get away with taking it for a little bit. Maybe you could argue, nice catch here. Like, these roaches got caught by lurkers, but then they kind of catch some Ravagers, but they only kill one of them. So that wasn't great for Reynor. I was also thinking just take the top left base already for Reynor, so it's there, because you're kind of having to stand off with Dark in that position anyway, so maybe? Yeah, I don't know, but I mean, I guess at this stage you don't fight head first into this, so you just have to stall this out, kind of play the long game, which, if you're going to play the long game, you want to start trading more efficiently, and right now, Reynor really is not doing that. It's like, 32k to 30k resources lost, so yeah, that's not looking great.
He was never trading very efficiently. For a little while, he had the resource loss lead, if you will. He had less resources lost. But yeah, it's changing. It's changing. The more he's trying to make this work, the more it's simply not working. I wonder if Reynor just isn't used to this type of play, you know? Like, we think back to some of our epic European ZVZs, Reynor Serral, even a Reynor Laser versus Lambo, like whatever, right? The top 4 Zergs. And a lot of the time, these are like left, right, center, back and forth, engagements everywhere, romanticide, you know? And Dark is just, he's being kind of a butt right now. He's like, he's not playing the game, you know? This is where you pick up all your toys and you leave, whining to your mom that the other guy isn't playing the game. Because there's nothing else to do. Like, and Dark is just playing so... I gotta say well. The blinding clouds here coming down to try and save his lurkers. Granted, a lot of them did still end up falling. Reynor thinks maybe this is an opportunity, and actually Dark kind of mishandling this a little bit too. Some of his reinforcements just diving into lurker spawns. Did Reynor finally find an opportunity? Is this actually the case? I don't think so. Dark still has 23 lurkers, dude.
Yeah, I don't think so, and that's the issue, right? Because really overall this fight was... I mean, I think overall... Reynor just lost a little bit more there because he killed a few more lurkers, but he lost all of his Vipers again. He lost 5 of them. I really feel as though the gas that Reynor just lost out on, that's something that's really very expensive. So unless you can capitalize, then that wasn't so great. Now maybe you can capitalize, right? That's obviously the argument, and that's what he's trying to do by pushing in elsewhere. And now we start taking that next base along. That's base number 7 from Reynor. I still feel like that bottom right base, even if you could just steal like a few minerals away from Dark, I guess if Dark knows about it, he's just going to stop it from happening, but yeah, it feels like with the way that Reynor is trading, he needs something like that later game. I love this, by the way. Dark knows that later in this game, they're going to have some excess minerals versus gas with the units they're building, so he's making a lot of Lings now. They actually have +2 melee upgrade, +3 on the way, and Lings harassing now are amazing because there's something which Reynor has to deal with while he still needs to deal with it, right? So using this mineral bank ahead of time before it is just like an excess mineral bank at the end of the game, it basically solves the problem ahead of time. So I love that Dark is making use of this in some way. Getting these Lings out, deny an economy, deny a base. I mean, this is pretty much the best use of minerals you can make right now if you're gas powered.
Yeah, I loved it. I saw the drill glands like, I want to say 5 minutes ago when he was still like on +1 melee. Yeah, and I was like, yeah, that could be very helpful because Reynor really is in the position of like almost facing a mech player where you want to control the map, you want to have more bases, and then eventually they just get exhausted on resources and they're forced to really take risks to get the next base. But it's going to be more difficult to do that when Dark actually has something to say on the other side of the map, when Dark isn't only defending, which still, even with those 2 Ling run-bys, is mostly what Dark is doing. This is really neat. Just a couple of lurkers invested to try and deny mining. It is a temporary denial, however, I would expect. Yeah, maybe. Well, 2 lurkers be 2 lurkers. Okay.
I kind of like it though, right? Like,
yeah,
you gotta give credit. It's a pretty fun little run around game that Reynor was playing. Nidus in the main base now going to be used to transport Lings in, which is probably the biggest threat we've seen from a Nidus in a while. There's so much effort put into that one lurker. I can't quite believe it. This Hive's going to go down. That means no more Vipers, so that's something you got to rebuild. It's a great way to deal damage as Dark, right? Like, there's a lot of resources that go into building a Hive, and it's something you're going to absolutely need to rebuild here, so... Yeah, I love that, and these Lings might even just get out of there, back and through the Nidus.
Yeah, I do, yeah. Because Dark actually, he needs to save 200, 300 minerals worth of whatever. Like, he does not have a big bank. His bottom right base, despite being taken, has not really been mining. And the other two bases, yeah, still have yet to be mining from really either player. So Reynor has finally accrued a safety bank that if he did want to try and push an issue, maybe he could. But is it going to be worth it? I don't think so. Yeah, I think just taking the left side base and then eventually taking this one as he's got that high ground is the way to go. Starve out Dark and then hope Dark makes a mistake on the offensive.
One thing to keep in mind is obviously Dark also spent a lot of minerals on Spore Crawls compared to Reynor. He has over 30 on the map right now, and he's lost 26 as well. So that is another mineral dump Dark has been utilizing. I do just wonder what Reynor's going to do with the minerals, right? Because he's not doing anything like Dark is in terms of like utilizing spores or lings, and that means to me you can already see it happening, right? 3.5k minerals, 1.5k gas in the bank. It's starting to get to the point where Reynor should maybe have like something with that, and I mean maybe late in the game Queens could be the way. I mean, I don't disagree with not building lings because I have no idea what lings are meant to do for Reynor right now with Dark having lurkers everywhere, so yeah, it's an interesting question.
Yeah, I mean, either you could invest into what could be very, very helpful in the future, like 20, 30 Spore Crawlers, or you could wait on it and then see how the game progresses. Because if Dark's going to just do this very slow siege hop, then you could probably decide in 2, 3, 5, even 10 minutes to build a Spore Crawler forest, right? But if you did it now, when you're still in control of the game, then maybe it is just... I don't know, not as helpful, right? Like, I guess what I'm saying is better to have the bank maybe in this one particular scenario. It's very hard to say. Despite it being one of the most classic ways of playing late game ZVZ, Viper, Lurker, Spores, I feel like this is uncharacteristically slow for late game ZVZ. So I feel kind of out of my elements. I feel like Reynor might as well. He's adapted, as we've had like 8, 10 minutes of this, but how do you kill the guy? It's still a very big question.
It's just like confidence from Dark, right? He just says, yeah, I don't need to do anything. I can just sit back. I'm just gonna, be okay given time. Which maybe he will be. I mean, the biggest thing for me is Dark needs the base that Reynor is camped out on. And as long as Reynor is mining the top left and Dark is not mining the bottom right, the resource loss difference just doesn't matter, right? Like, this doesn't change anything. What's going on? Vipers here, Vipers there, a couple more Vipers over this way. Blinding Clouds are gonna save those 2 Vipers. One of them just goes down. Oh my goodness, absolutely just... I don't even know how to play-by-play that one, Zombie Grow.
Right. I think the official caster play-by-play book for Viper Wars is just to start laughing.
Yeah.
And then you guys know that Vipers are killing each other. Hard to say who got the better end of that one.
Well, thanks to the nifty battle report,
there
we can see 4 Vipers killed by Dark, 3 Vipers killed by Reynor. I actually think the Blinding Clouds were really clutch there, actually, from Dark, because without those, he would have actually completely lost, like, another Viper at least. And I think he wouldn't have killed as many Hydras, because Hydras had to chase the Vipers to get the kills as well, so... Yeah, I like what Dark did there, is just have so many Vipers on the map as well. 12 against 9 at the moment is... At some point, I guess, the Mineral Bank could just be used to re-energize the Vipers again and again. Like, that might be what it comes down to.
Oh my god, Wardy, Dark's moving. Dark is moving out onto the map. Wow. He sees an opportunity to get this little plateau here, which means he gets the base and he gets high ground versus Reynor's base, which is not yet mined out. Maybe he should have prioritized mining that out, considering the tug of war, but if Dark could deny that, that could be huge. Reynor, though, maybe hoping that there's not enough lurkers left back at home. He's going to try and push in. Only 4 lurkers isn't a lot, but his Vipers aren't here, so they're kind of enough.
Yeah. I mean, you just gotta go through so many spores to get anything done as... Reynor might like this, though, because at least now it gives him, like, a new way to attack, like, new positions to attack. The one time in which this might be bad for Reynor is when Dark actually mines out the left side and he just doesn't care about it anymore. He can just go down a turtling up on one base. This Roach Ravager look comes through, kills off a couple of Spore Crawlers as Nidus in the front goes down. We're going to fight right now, apparently, but there's a lot of lurkers you got to be careful of. Reynor looks like he took a lot of losses here, while Dark lost basically nothing at all. And now this army from Reynor on the left side. Dark's going to go jump on that as Reynor has to rebuild from the right side fight.
Reynor can rebuild this army, but it's like, what are you really killing here? I think at best it is moving the main army of Dark out of position, though, which was actually really important. This was Dark maybe overly tempted to kill that base or the army, so he loses his own base and loses the 2 inches he gained here. Now we're back to what we were back at 25 minutes.
Well, maybe Reynor can get to the bottom right as well now, so maybe Dark actually has to make more of a move towards Reynor's upper left, because if Reynor denies that bottom right side, yeah, this becomes a little bit more substantial, right? Dark's going to lose one of his main points of income right now. And now Dark's like, well, yeah, I'm going to have to do the same. And Reynor knows exactly what's happening, so he's already pulling back and pulling away. I mean, this is where it's going to come down to who already mined more, perhaps, which is Reynor. So that might help. Some drones just got massacred. Yeah, Reynor's pulling back. He wants to minimize the losses in the upper left, of course, and that's what he's moving for at the moment.
It's hard to... Reynor's army, I'm not sure about it. 14 Vipers. They're very good. Very good, but they're supposed to be supportive. No, they're not the main
but he does
meal.
have 20 drones, right? So it's like, it does scale
That's
up
true.
a bit, maybe.
Well,
like, his army supply is just that big.
What I was going to point out before I think 10 more lurkers were made was that when that potential base race was kind of setting up, Reynor only had 4 lurkers. But I think he also recognized he was very lurker light. So now we're back up to 15, and that is a much more balanced army. And I feel a lot better for Reynor's chances once things get a little topsy-turvy, as they have here. Dark's lost all of the bottom rights, and now his technology is being threatened. So he does have to defend this point.
The thing is, Reynor can take the bottom right base as Dark was trying to take. And what's Dark defending now? Dark is essentially now defending mined out bases, and he's going to attempt to take the base that Reynor had. So they're going to kind of do a bit of swapsies, but remember that Reynor's mined more from that base than Dark mined from the bottom right. And Dark hasn't quite finished mining the far bottom right corner as well, the base that's up the ramp. So that's also maybe something to keep in consideration. Because I mean, it's all these little things that may just come into play, and I just love that Reynor has 170 army supply. Like, to me, that just seems terrifying to play against as well. Still will come down to spell casting, but in my eyes, I think Reynor really is starting to get into the winning position.
I think so as well. I do. Like, he's not only a better army supply because he has less drones, but it's also just that Dark was not able to fill his supply. He didn't have enough resources after losing the bottom right. He does send his little Hydra squad out to kill a base that is ultimately unnecessary. It was already mined out, and now his natural is being killed. That's all of his technology that he cannot rebuild. Oh, and then he doesn't pay attention to his lurkers, forced to just try and run away. No counter with his own Vipers, and now the lurker amount has been evened up even slightly in Reynor's favor. A big difference from the past 35 minutes. Now it's Dark who seems like he's out of his element. He's not sure exactly how he wants to play this out.
I don't think Dark was quite expecting the little base trade of like a base here, base there, to turn into such an advantage for Reynor. Right? I mean, it really feels as though this was just everything Reynor needed to really start making plays, moving through. And you can see Dark is going to lose pretty much everything in that main. His vibe, I mean, he's coming to the point where he's going to end up camping out on one base, but I still think that really does prefer Reynor because he's got a fresher base bottom right and even a base that Dark never finished mining out. So I still stand by those as being maybe the most important points of this, as Reynor gets supply block, losing an Overseer. Well, at least he's got minerals to rebuild Overlords. Yeah, does Dark get a chance to like remax and to take an even army fight ever again is the biggest question, and I just don't know if he does.
I don't think so. I guess one thing to point out is that Reynor he started running out of minerals and gas until he had this base. He did make 18 roaches. So his supply isn't, the best supply ever. Because as far as the big, very, very good units, the Lurkers and the Vipers, and to a degree the Hydralisks, like Dark is winning that particular battle. You can't replace any of this though. Actually, I guess winning the battle is a little insincere. He is down 4 Vipers, but the other numbers are still close enough. So, yes, Reynor being maxed out is very scary. The roaches could add to a concave. That could be very important. Obviously, they can be used to just run around and kill bases that Dark can no longer protect. But a direct fight, Reynor still has to be very careful with how he wants to end this game, because I think we are talking about Reynor being in a better position, but it could be thrown if he engages poorly.
Yeah, I think this is just going to be chaos once again. A couple of Vipers going down for Dark. Nice re-abduct down the Viper that was almost getting away. I do think this is the situation where as Reynor, you don't necessarily need to push in, and I know that's maybe going to allow Dark to max out, but like I say, those bottom right bases, they are yours, right? So just maybe play on maxing out, and maybe Reynor doesn't like how close that puts it to being like a trade out and, you know, coming down in one big fight. I gotta say, by the way, I just looked at units lost tab. Dark only lost 8 Vipers this game, which is just... I mean, that's just incredible for how many Vipers we've seen abducted and attacked. I mean, I think there's just been something to say about Dark's efficiency on the Vipers, because that is incredible.
Yeah. I mean, he's lost almost a third of the Vipers of Reynor. So
Yeah.
as he comes out in this late game scenario, down 5 Vipers, maybe that isn't as problematic as it may seem. Dark's got his little turtle set up here. He's going to parasitic bomb. A lot of those Vipers of Reynor are healthy, though, so not going to die to that one. Yeah, as he splits kind of late, but all right. Hive is once again going to be targeted. Reynor is in a position where he could replace Vipers, so that is important. Another Hive afforded is quite expensive at this point in the game. Dark loses yet another Viper, now down to just 5, but then grabs one of Reynor's. It feels like that's mostly what's going to be the talking point. What? No! Hello?
No. Oh, Dark. I mean, it's just big because you imagine that Reynor might even rebuild a Viper or two somewhere down the line, and that maybe could have stopped it. That is a pretty big deal, as Reynor has a bottom right base that's been attacked, so he actually might lose this bottom right base, which means he loses the mine that he's meant to have kind of over Dark. Again, how substantial does that really make? You know, how substantial is that? Is it important? Is this too many losses for Dark to take down a base? All questions which I guess will only really be answered with time. There's an overseer there, but he's just going to walk away from the lurker. Okay, I mean, this game is hectic, to be fair.
You know, you don't kill my Hive, I won't kill your lurker. Oh, no longer fair.
Okay. He's done playing by the imaginary rules.
Yeah. Well, it's probably a very tough game for Dark to even figure out what his exact position is. I mean, it would be so easy to assume that Reynor is on a similar supply to him, despite having, like, you know, vision on the army. But a 70 army supply difference is quite huge. Not enough to break this siege line as more abducts coming down left, right, and center, favoring Dark by the looks of things, right? A lot of blood on his side of the fight. And Reynor dips down a little bit in supply.
Yeah.
Actually, getting the control here maybe a little off as he moves in with all of those roaches I was talking about, and just within 5 seconds, 40 supply just disappeared.
Yeah, I mean, you're just going a bit too fast there. I think you don't need to kind of run into this so quickly. Dark, by the way, is about to get a lurker den back online, so he was down on 5 lurkers. Now he'll have access to build a few more as he continues to mine. Remember, Reynor's got 0 gas income because he lost that bottom right base. Is there gas, by the way? There is 1,000 gas on the super far bottom right base as well, and it's still, I know I keep bringing this up, but I really think that base may, if Reynor realizes it, it could be a game changer if it continues to be super close in the upper left.
He just lost all his Vipers. Dark just lost all of his Vipers, and he has no Hive. He has no ability to remake the Hive. That is so huge. Oh, that actually could be why he loses the game. I think Reynor can only lose if he tries to win right here, right now. You know what I mean? If he runs into the lurkers, which you don't have to. Dark, I think, realizing that he's on a bit. Oh my god. Oh, the Vipers are right there. Oh, the Hydras. They don't see it. They don't see it. Oh no. Well, maybe now. Maybe now.
Maybe, yes. He's gonna get one of them.
Hello.
Okay, he's gonna get some, but the Hydras are dead, right? They're just gonna be chased down.
Oh my god, oh my god, oh my god. Oh my god.
Okay, I mean, all the Vipers in the game just died. We have a Hive at least from Reynor, so he will start a rebuild. He needs to not let these Hydras get home, though. Like, they have to be killed, right? You have to punish this.
Absolutely, and he's gonna punish it. There's no escape for Dark. He's trying every single pathway he possibly can, but he can't. Dark's Lings are gonna find a very vulnerable new base, and those are cracklings, so the drones have no chance. But Dark, his army, I mean, he's splitting it, trying to make the best of it, so he's gonna save maybe like 4 or 5 Hydras. This game is flipping crazy already.
Yeah, I know this game is tense, but I feel like Reynor should leave something down on that bottom right base, because it is like his only point of mining.
Yeah.
you don't want to get to a point where like you just can't use that base at all, right? So, because this is 6 drones, I mean that's a lot of minerals you have to rebuild. So Doc finds a lot of value in that trade. They're on the way up from Reynor because I don't know. He's got a hive, so maybe just a replacement just in case.
Yeah, I think he's predicting the Lings to go after it, which I'm surprised Dark hasn't tried. Dark might have predicted a lurker or something there to defend, so he's like not even bothering. So it's kind of funny. Yeah. Yeah, it's moving the lurkers out is bold, but he knows the army's in an entirely opposite position.
Yeah, I was gonna say Reynor's not got any pressure on that top left base anymore, so Dark is a little bit more free to move out. Not that that top left side of Reynor is really that important either. So yeah, gonna just move up here. Reynor gonna put some more pressure on. A few Hydras are gonna go down the bottom side now. It's crazy that Reynor's just not being able to keep track of units coming out of just literally one base, right? And it just goes to show how hectic this game still is, despite the fact that Dark only has one hatchery left on the map.
Roaches are left down there, gonna beat the Hydras.
Yeah,
Lings might finally kill the hive with a single lurker to support.
At which point we sort of say the new hive from Reynor really was genius. It was well thought of.
Yeah. Dark is about to be up to his... Wait. No. Yeah, no. He's still not going into his own hive. Doesn't even have an infestation pit, so... Just no Vipers whatsoever for him. Trying to go for numbers here. I don't know how that's going to work. Vipers are really good.
Yeah.
Queens even be, desperately trying to be included maybe for some transfuses to save some of the abducted units is like a smart idea, but even they're going down. It's going to be a bit of a fizzle instead of a bang, but I do believe Reynor is going to win Game 5.
A fizzle instead of a bang is a pretty good summary because there is not much of a bang at the end of this game. There's one lurker bottom right still denying some mining. Reynor had to pull his drones away, but of course Reynor still is just winning out on that one base of Dark. What a really ridiculous game that we got ourselves into here, right? I mean, this was truly, I think, a game of ZVZ where we saw something very unique. It wasn't quite the usual, it wasn't quite the norm. Dark played way more defensively than what we usually expect in these circumstances. Just something really special to finish off this best of 5.
Yeah, well, I love it. Clash of Titans here, some serious revenge for the WCS Global Championships at BlizzCon. Do we have to be so specific nowadays now that it's gone?
Just Global Championships, right? Like,
yeah.
It's whatever. As you see, attempt forward from Dark, and Reynor says, well, why would I, I'm just gonna back it up. I'm in no rush. I've sat here for 45 minutes. I'll consider a couple more